G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Arsehole? Am I the arsehole for yelling at my mom when she acted like nothing happened after my dad cheated? My parents have a great relationship. Well, that's what I thought before what happened. My 14 female parents usually have friends over and always tell me that I'm free to have friends over too. So it wasn't a surprise when I unlocked the front door and I could hear my dad and another woman in the kitchen. Since my dad usually calls my name when he hears me opening the door, I thought he probably didn't think that I was home yet. I walked into the kitchen to greet my dad, but then I saw it. He kissed the woman on the cheek, a woman that isn't my mum. Both of them were turned, facing away from the door so they didn't see me. My dad proceeded to flirt with the woman until I threw my bag on the ground to get their attention. They pulled apart, and Dad called out if that was me. I walked into the kitchen and greeted him and the woman, and then I locked myself into my room for the rest of the afternoon. I only came out when my mum came home. I helped my mum put away her things and put her weekly flowers in a vase before turning to her and telling her what I saw. She stayed quiet for a moment and then told me that she'll take care of it and that I shouldn't worry about it anymore. A few days go by and nothing happens. There was no fight, no arguments, no sour faces at each other, no divorce. Nothing that would usually happen to cheaters in movies and stuff. It pissed me off how my mum could continue to joke with my dad after what he did, and still cook for him. Yesterday after dinner, when my dad went to bed, I went at her, demanding to know what's wrong with her and how she could go on living a life with a dad who cheated. She sighed and told me to drop it, but I didn't. I asked her why she wasn't getting a divorce and why she was putting up with my POS dad. She glared at me and told me to watch my tone and to not disrespect my dad. Finally, I yelled at her, asking why she was defending him, and she told me that she'd explain everything once I cooled down. I told my brother, 17, the whole story so he could know the truth about my dad, but he seemed really irritated. He told me to shut up and not to tell anyone else in the family about my dad. He said that if Mum said she'd handle it, she would. I told him she didn't, and that they were still acting as if it never happened. He glared at me and told me to calm down and talk to my mum like an adult if I wanted to act like one, instead of just yelling at her. He also called me an asshole for escalating the situation and making dinners awkward. I don't think I'm the asshole, but whatever. Am I the asshole? My after-school activities got cancelled that day, and I didn't let my parents know beforehand, so they didn't expect me to be home so early. I'm just gonna add the timeline. I caught my dad Friday after school, told my mum Friday night after she came home from work, waited, and then went at my mum Monday night. I wrote this post an hour after yelling at her, and I talked to my cousin at 12 AM and apologized after school on Tuesday. Now in the comments, you're the asshole. Hear me out. Your parents may be swingers or have an open relationship. You don't know. Please cool off, apologize to your mum for yelling at her, and then calmly ask, so what's going on? Listen with an open mind. I was thinking the same thing. Mum isn't upset because she already knew and dad has permission. These are the types of things that you don't talk to your kids about. You caught him, let mum handle it. My guess is the "I'll handle it" meant that mum was going to tell dad to be more careful in the house when the kids might be around. My thoughts too, and it sounds like the parents have their own arrangement that works for them. OP is young and probably doesn't understand that relationships can look a lot of different ways, and couples work out what is okay and not okay for themselves. If mum is okay, no one is being abusive, and the parents seem to get along great, then OP needs to mind her own business. Edited to clarify, the kid is not the asshole. If anything, it's great that she didn't keep this a secret from her mum. I appreciate that honesty. But now that she's been informed that there is not a problem here and everyone is safe, she does need to cool down and wait for the awkward conversation that's coming. And believe me, it's going to be uncomfortable for everyone. You're the asshole. It sounds like you don't actually know anything. You told your mum what you saw, so trust she handled it. There may be an explanation. Seeing a kiss on the cheek is nothing. Your parents could have an open relationship. Maybe your mum cheated first, so your dad gets a hall pass. There could be many explanations, so if your mum doesn't seem mad or bothered by it, then butt out of their marriage. It has nothing to do with you. Everyone sucks here. It sounds like your mum and dad have an understanding that you know nothing about. But I think since you've caught your dad in a situation that you were clearly not meant to see, it is your parents' responsibility to have a conversation with you about it so you're not entirely kept in the dark, especially because this is emotionally affecting you. And now back up to the post. Edit. I asked my dad about it, but he just avoided answering and told me that him and mum would talk to me about it when I cooled down. What do I have to cool down about? I don't know. And edit, going against what my brother said, I talked to my cousin about it since we are pretty close. Basically, she told me 2 things. 1, stop getting influenced by TikTok and Reddit, and 2, she said that they're in an open relationship. I asked how she knew for sure, and she told me to give my parents time to explain this, and that it took her mum a month before she finally sat her and my brother down after they caught her with a family friend. After asking, she told me this happened about 5 years ago. Never thought my aunt was like that. And edit, after sleeping it off and finally reading everyone's comments, I felt really guilty for yelling at my mum and know that I deserve all of those "you're the assholes." I apologized to my mum once I got home from school and am now going to stay with my friend for a few days. Hopefully my parents will be ready to talk when I return. And now onto the update. Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you for all the responses and for dealing with my brattiness, which were my brother's words. The split judgments were giving me a headache while trying to read everyone's comments, lol. After sleeping off my rage fit and reading some of the comments, I did come to terms that I was in the wrong. Some people had mentioned that my parents could have been trying to come up with the best way to talk to me, which I believe was true because they have never been good at having heart-to-hearts. So doing what I thought would be good for everyone, I made plans to stay with my close friend and let my parents be. I apologized to my mum and left for my friends. There was a little arson situation at our high school like an hour before school ended, so we all got out early and I decided to go home earlier. When my parents got home from work, we had our conversation. First, my mum apologized profusely for having me wait and not saying anything earlier, and my dad apologized for having me see what I saw. I accepted them but apologized to my mum again. Mum said, "We weren't planning on telling you everything until you moved out, but your idiot for a father always messes crap up." She then told me that what they have is like an open relationship, but they never knew what to label it until one of their friends helped. She also told me that since they were being honest, it was her who cheated first, and my dad turned out to be okay. My dad told me that if I wanted, they wouldn't have their friends around anymore. I declined that offer since I was already used to seeing them, and I never minded the extra people in the house. My brother joined the conversation and told me the story of how he found out about my aunt and our parents. Later, my brother came into my room and showed me my "Am I the Asshole" post on his phone. Yes, he found my post, FML. He pinched me and said he was sorry. To clear up a few things, 1, many of you said that it was obvious it was an open relationship, but it wasn't to me. 2, a lot of you took the sentence, "never thought my aunt was like that," wrong. I wasn't judging or anything, I was honestly just surprised since I didn't expect my aunt of all people to like that sort of thing. She's pretty conservative, lol. 3, I didn't want to believe my parents were in an open relationship since I just couldn't picture it. My mom always tells me a few things, and one of them being, never let a man make a fool of you. Thinking my mom was just letting my dad mess around without any consequences was what made me mad. 5, I never wanted a divorce. 6, I referenced movies once. And 7, my parents didn't gaslight me, and I'm not traumatized. Everyone that shared their experiences, I hope you're at peace now. This was a roller coaster of emotion, and I think it made all of us a bit closer. Again, thank you everyone, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day or night. And now in the comments, quote, "My mum said that we weren't planning on telling you everything until you moved out, but your idiot father always messes crap up." I agree with your mum. You don't bring external lovers into the home when your kids are home and old enough to know that something is up. Dad was the idiot. Yup, you can't not tell your kids you're in an open relationship, yet bring others into the house. Either it's separate or it's not. If they weren't ready to tell their daughter about it, they should have tried harder to hide it. Your idiot father always messes crap up, says the person who cheated first. Says the only person who cheated too, since per the mum she cheated and then they opened up the relationship. Poor kids. Thank you for the update. And for the record, 1. Many of you said that it was obvious it was an open relationship, but like it wasn't for me. I would not think a 14-year-old would know what an open relationship is. That kind of advanced human sexuality does not come up until college, if at all. If you're under 18 and your parents did not tell you, keep in mind, not every teenager explores the depths of the not safe for work subreddits. I also think that even someone who knows what an open relationship is might have trouble recontextualizing what they've always known as a monogamous relationship, especially their parents' relationship, into that framework without any guidance. Yeah, I'm fully polyamorous, but I would still be incredibly shocked and would need to process it if I suddenly found out that my parents weren't monogamous. Quote, my rage fit and there was a little arson situation. Boy, never a dull moment with kids these days. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for telling my stepdad and stepbrother that biological relationships are more important? So my bio dad was never in my life and my mum married my stepdad when I was 4. He found out he had a son when I was 8. My brother was 12 years old then and he lived full time with us for the next year. He would pay much more attention to him. I don't know if it was because he was his child or because he was a boy. He rarely made time for me, and I just tagged along to do what my brother wanted to do so that I could spend time with them. I always felt like a third wheel, and I was hoping that things would improve after my brother went to college. But yeah, he really didn't spend more time with me, and it actually decreased because we didn't have my brother to do things with. I am the odd one of the family. Everyone else has a strong bond, and I'm just this burden they have to bear for a few more years. My mum talks about how hard raising me alone was, and sometimes she talks about the choices that she was forced to make at the time, and I don't know. I think her life would have been so much easier if she had given me away or something. My brother and dad were having a conversation about adoption because my brother thinks that he wants to adopt in the future. Dad said something like it was love that made family and not biology. I know that that's a lie, he knows it too, and I interjected and told them that biological relationships were more important too, and it was kinda shitty to ignore that. My brother and dad went really quiet, and they changed the topic. I could see that my brother was really upset, and he didn't really interact with me for the rest of the day. My mum is furious with me, and she said that what I said was cruel, and it was very disappointing that I would even think something like that, and that she was really mad. I didn't want to hurt them at all, and I don't even know why I said it. I feel like an absolutely vile human right now. I know I hurt them both. I was just an asshole. And now in the comments, not the asshole, but you should probably have actually explained yourself. Saying something like that without context is going to come across as asshole-ish. It sounds like your brother has taken that to mean that you may not love him as a brother, and that is not what you meant. Explain yourself. Tell them that you feel that your stepdad has given your brother more love and attention, and you've always assumed it's because you are not biologically related to him, and go from there. This, start with your brother, write it to him if he won't talk to you. Normally I'd advocate the person-to-person talk, but it seems like you might be too nervous for that. That will give you the opportunity to edit it, to say what you feel, without accidentally saying something incomplete that doesn't express what you really meant correctly. Make sure you tell him how much you truly do care. It's just been your experience that it can be one-sided. Not the asshole at all. You just said what you have been experiencing regarding the way that they have treated you. They say that you are a part of the family, but in reality, you are not, and they treat you differently. But they don't want to see or own that. I was raised in a similar situation. I was raised by my uncle and aunt, and I grew up with their children, and no matter what they say regarding being a family, I was always treated differently. I was once told that I wasn't a part of the family. Apart from everything, I grew up well-ish, and I left them, moved countries, and I couldn't be happier. Not the asshole. While I think that telling your stepdad that biology is more important than love was kind of a shitty thing to say, I get the feeling that you don't really believe it yourself. You seem to care a lot about him and your stepbrother. You said you always felt like a third wheel, probably because you loved them enough to want to spend time with them and consider them as your family. Now, I don't know all of the dynamics in your family, but it's not that unusual for parents to share more interests with one of their kids. It doesn't mean that your stepdad doesn't love you or love you less. I think you need to have a conversation with him about how you feel. Info: did you ever mention how you felt about your relationship with your stepdad? And OP replies, I have not. Everything is below the surface right now, and I don't know. I'm scared if I bring it up, they'll stop pretending to care. Which is a stupid thing to think, but that's how I feel. That might be for the best. Then you could maybe develop a real relationship, or just say, later, see you, bye. And now onto the update. People told me I'm not the asshole, but I needed to explain what I meant. I honestly didn't want to, but my brother was not texting me as regularly, and I felt hurt and I wanted to fix things. I took some time to practice out what I wanted to say with my best friend. They wanted to listen, and I told them that I felt left out from stuff. They were defensive and were saying that we always included you, and Mum said she was about to scold me. I started to cry. I was practically bawling, and all of my little speech went out the window, and I cried a lot, and I told them that I knew Dad cared a lot about my brother. I could see that he was just tolerating me though. I could see how disinterested he was. I also told my mum that I felt like a burden that she was forced to deal with, and sometimes I felt like they were all waiting for me to turn 18 to be done with me. It took me a lot of time to get it out in between crying. Mum and Dad were also crying. I have never seen Dad cry before. We didn't really talk much. They just hugged me. My dad apologized and told me that he had messed up and he couldn't do anything about what happened before, but he will try really hard to fix this. Mum also talked to me. She told me that it has been tough, but she never thought of me as a burden. She said she loved me and I was the best thing that had happened to her. I still feel hurt, but I feel so much better now. And now in the comments, I really hope they stick to what they told you and continue to improve themselves and their actions. Hoping the best for you. Thank you for the update. Hoping that it continues down a good path. I really hope things improve for you. Hugs. My mum used to go on about how awful her life is as a single mother. Then she wondered why I have such low self-esteem. Some people just don't hear themselves. Good for you for speaking up. It is always good to get things out. I am very happy for you that they were receptive. I wish you the best. Alright, and that is where we're going to finish today's episode, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, smack that like button as always. Don't forget to drink water. Don't forget to get out and get some sunshine if it's sunny out there today. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.